Hello, welcome to this primary candidate forum, co-sponsored by the Daily Record newspaper and the League of Women Voters. My name is Charlie Sorensen, and I am the Voter Services Chair for the League of Women Voters, Kittitas County. Founded in 1920, the League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan organization with 800 affiliates across the country. It encourages informed and active participation in government, works to increase understanding of major public policy issues, and influences public policy through education and advocacy. The League never endorses candidates or political parties at any level. We don't care how you vote, only that you vote. League membership is open to all genders, ages 16 and over, and we invite you all to join us. Our moderator for this primary candidate virtual forum event is Catherine Murphy. Catherine has been a member of the League since 2017, where she has filled a variety of roles at the state and local level. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Charlie. I'm very pleased to have the opportunity to moderate our virtual 2020 primary candidate forums. These events offer voters an opportunity to hear directly from candidates in response to questions sourced from inside the community. As with everything else right now, we are learning how to modify traditional in-person events with virtual ones. The League of Women Voters records and retains a full unedited copy of all candidate forums. If any portion of a League forum is redistributed out of context to make a candidate appear to say something they did not say, or are edited to make a candidate look bad or in any way they did not actually look in the original forum, then the League of Women Voters will alert the media, provide the unedited video for comparison, and file appropriate complaints with any applicable government authority. For the virtual 2020 primary forums, we record each candidate interview using the same structure: a 60-second opening statement, 90-second responses to 3 community-sourced questions, and a 60-second closing statement. The forum recordings will be offered in 2 formats. Viewers can watch each interview as a standalone choice, and they can watch a compilation of all candidate interviews for each position in a 5-part playlist. This compilation shows the candidates in the order they appear on the ballot, answering the same question. Part 1 includes this introduction and candidate opening statements. Parts 2 through 4 show each question being asked, then each candidate's response. Part 5 shows each candidate's closing statements, plus my closing remarks. The forum recordings will be available at the Kittitas County League website and on our YouTube channel, on the Ellensburg Daily Record website and Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Channel 191, and Inland Networks. The Kittitas County Commissioners serve a 4-year term and are empowered to set county policy, adopt laws, implement them, and, except for the responsibility of other elected officials, carry out the day-to-day operations of the county. 3 candidates are running for the Kittitas County Commissioner, District 2 Commissioner 2 slot: Jerry Martins, Laura Oshadis, and Jessica Carricker. We thank them for running for this position. And now I want to welcome Jerry Martins to the forum. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. We will start with your 60-second opening statement. You can go ahead now.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank the League of Women Voter and the Daily Record for coordinating this forum. My name is Jerry Martins. My wife and I, Cheryl, moved into the area in 2000. We have called Cleellum our home since that time. My career has primarily been in commercial and residential construction. We now own a small business on First Street down in Cleellum. I encourage you to visit my website at jerrymartins.org to learn more. The decision to run for county commissioner was not taken lightly and centers on what I feel is and has been a lack of vision and planning by our leadership. Kittitas County deserves commissioners that run proactive planning over forced reactions. We need to define what our county's identity is, and this is especially true for the Upper County. My campaign is an issues-based campaign that will be primarily keyed towards the economy. Thank you.
Thank you. I now want to welcome Laura Oshadish to the forum. Thank you for taking the time to be with us. And we will start with your 60-second opening statement. You may begin when you like.
Hello, my name is Laura Oshadis, and I am a 7th generation Washingtonian with a heritage stemming from the farmlands of Eastern Washington to the evergreen forests of the Snoqualmie Valley. I have a very long service history. In addition to being your Kittitas County Commissioner over the past 4 years, I also served as a Roslyn City Council person for 5 years. I have served on the Roslyn Fire Department as a volunteer firefighter for 12 years, in which I continue to serve, and I am a board member for the Roslyn Ronald Cleolum Heritage Club. Over the past 4 years, we have made great strides in our community. That is why I am asking for your vote so that together, over the next 4 years, we can build a better future for our next generation while respecting and preserving our rich past. Thank you.
Thank you. And now I would like to welcome Jessica Carricker to the forum. Thank you for taking time to be with us. We will start with your 60-second opening statement.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Daily Record for hosting this event in unprecedented times. My name is Jessica Carricker, and I'm running for Kittitas County Commissioner District 2. My husband and I are not born and raised in Kittitas County, but we've chosen to make our livelihoods here and call it home. We own an automotive shop where our slogan is, "Come in as a customer and leave as a friend." We wanted to put customer service back into the service industry. COVID-19 changed our plans for 2020, and through that process, we learned a lot as far as what needed to be done in our communities. Your voice matters to me. It's time we stand united. It is time we, the people, elect a county commissioner who prioritizes individual rights, community health, common sense, reason, and has the backbone to put principles above politics. I, Jessica Carricker, a small business owner and a resident of Kittitas County, am that voice for the people, and I look forward to answering your questions today.
Thank you. Question number 1. What are your priorities for the county budget as a result of the loss of tax revenues due to COVID-19? You have 90 seconds to respond.
First, I've been told that the budget is not being impacted by the COVID-19. That is something I can't believe at this point, and I think it's going to take a little bit more time to determine if, in fact, that is true. Regardless, as we move forward, we should be re-looking at the budget constantly, and in this particular case, reassessing the programs and how the operations continue within the county in light of what is happening with COVID-19. If it's not COVID-19, it could be something else. So the county has got to be thinking ahead, planning ahead, and making certain that the services that they are providing are not going to be interrupted by another event such as COVID. As we recently saw with the reactions at the county level, that has not been successfully, it hasn't been very successful in the county's reaction this particular time. So at this point, we need to readjust, reanalyze, and make certain that programs that are not essential can be put on hold and set back so that the budget can move forward with essential services.
Thank you. Question number 1. What are your priorities for the county budget as a result of the loss of tax revenues due to COVID-19? Ms. Oshadish, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Well, one of the really wonderful things is that Kittitas County historically has been very conservative in their budgeting measures. So unlike a lot of other government entities, Kittitas County anticipates that we will either meet or exceed our budget for the general fund in 2020. In addition to this, we have taken preventative measures and had our department heads and elected officials take a look at what it would look like if they did have to make budget cuts. If budget cuts were to take place in the future, what would make most sense would be for those cuts to be taken out of the enterprise funds. Enterprise funds are funds that are funded through the services that are rendered to the public. So again, I'd just like to reiterate that I am very proud of the work Kittitas County has done to ensure that we are in a good place financially. And I will continue to work hard for the voters of Kittitas County to provide a fiscal conservative community that takes care of our community members and provides the services that they require.
Thank you. Question 1. What are your priorities for the county budget as a result of the loss of tax revenues due to COVID-19? Ms. Carricker, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Thank you for the question. My hope is with the county hiring the Ferguson group April of this year, that is money well spent. $60,000 is what it costs to retain them for 1 year. That group has gone out, they're in Washington, D.C., and their goal is to prioritize funding needs in our communities in the county. So my hope is that because that money was spent for grant writing, we were able to find grants at the federal and state level to help offset the costs of lost revenue because of taxes. If that's not the case, one of the areas that I would like to see cut, whether we have lost tax revenue or not, is is the county land buying freeze. A lot of land is being purchased in the county in the last 5 years in the amount of over a few $1 million. And that's not money that's well spent as far as tax dollars go for our communities. So that's one of the things I'd like to implement, whether we are in a tax COVID-19 crisis or not, is to halt all land purchasing by the county. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2. How would you ensure that county planning meets the needs of all community members, especially people of color, LGBTQIA, disabled, and low-income groups? Mr. Martins, you have 90 seconds to respond.
That's a good question, and I don't think that the county is in any position at this point to really look at that. We would need to clearly define what our operations are, what our impacts and responses to all people of all creeds, races, religions are. As we move forward, overreaction is just as bad as reaction or can be just as bad as reaction. So it's something that I think that the county should be looking at clearly right now, making certain that they are prepared and making certain that they're addressing this need as we move forward into the, as we move forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 2. How would you ensure that county planning meets the needs of all community members, especially people of color, LGBTQIA, disabled, and low-income groups? Ms. O'Shadish, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Well, that is a wonderful question. I believe Kittitas County is a wonderful place to live and does everything we can to have the communications needed to try to do what is needed for people within the groups you mentioned to have the services that they require within our county. Those conversations need to continue to happen because being a person that is of a collaborative nature, it is important that everybody within our communities is represented both fairly and equitably. So as Kittitas County Commissioner, I do pride myself on reaching out to people across all different beliefs and any kind of differences. But I think that there probably is still some work to do. We have seen some movements and people voicing that there needs to be, there are people that do need some to be treated differently. And those are some concerns that I do want to continue to work on, because as a person that hasn't had to go through that myself, I still have a lot to learn. And it is my my goal to be as open-minded as possible to make sure everyone in our community is represented both equitably and fairly. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2. How would you ensure that county planning meets the needs of all community members, especially people of color, LGBTQIA, disabled, and low-income groups? Ms. Carricker, you have 90 seconds to respond.
Thank you for the question. So that's a really great question, especially when you consider that Washington State is 45th in the nation for mental health care. One of the things that I see as an issue, especially in Upper Kittitas County, is that we just don't provide the services that are needed. That's one of the things as your Kittitas County Commissioner, is to bring services for mental health, recovery, and family services. As far as the other services that were discussed and asked in that question, my slogan is for the people, and that's all people. That's not just one side or the other side. That's for every individual that calls Kittitas County home. And I don't have the answers of what services that I would bring in personally, but I think what would be more important is to sit down and speak with different groups and find out where Kittitas County is lacking and how we can help out each individual group that calls Kittitas County home. That would be a priority of mine, is to have an open door policy to be able to have those conversations. And really, we need to be getting services up into Easton and Cle Elum and Roslyn and Ronald, where we have the biggest infrastructure boom happening, but we just don't have the family and mental health services right now up there. So that's definitely something we need to be looking at and talking with the people that call Kittitas County home. So thank you.
Thank you. Question 3. If elected, how will you ensure that the county complies with all state laws, public health orders, and governor's proclamations? Mr. Martins, you have 90 seconds to respond.
This again is a reaction to existing conditions. So we need to make certain that we're clearly in a position to anticipate things as they come forward. Could be floods, could be forest fires. In this particular case, it was a health directive. We've got to have a plan. We need to sit down and think about, prior to, at all levels of government in the county, all departments, what would happen under each one of those scenarios. Flooding is probably more of an issue, and I serve on the Flood Advisory Committee. We, on the committee itself, we are taking a proactive look at what has to be done and what could possibly come about with flooding, and proactively looking at conditions and issues within the county where we can turn around and react quickly. COVID caught us off guard. I understand that, but we can't let it catch us off guard again. So in meeting those mandates, we will have to be, you'll never know what they're going to be, but you've got to be able to be prepared to react to them as quickly as possible.
Thank you. Question 3. If elected, how will you ensure that the county complies with all state laws, public health orders, and governor's proclamations? You have 90 seconds to respond, Ms. O'Shadish.
Well, this is something that I've been working through for the last 4 years. And luckily, Kittitas County has a wonderful group of employees that are working for it and a great group of elected officials. Our prosecutor's office works very diligently to ensure that the elected officials that they represent are informed to make the legal decisions necessary to ensure that the county is not being sued on a regular basis or really at all. So I continue to depend on working well with our prosecutor, Greg Semple, and his team to ensure that we are taking all the steps necessary to ensure that we are protecting Kittitas County and ensuring that we are not having to defend ourselves against unnecessary lawsuits. Thank you.
Thank you. Question 3. If elected, how will you ensure that the county complies with all state laws, public health orders, and governor's proclamations? Ms. Carricker, you have 90 seconds to respond.
I am going to take head on I think the big question here is the mask mandate. And there's a lot of confusion and a lot of frustration with that going on around in our communities. And I think bottom line, not just as your Kittitas County Commissioner, but also as an individual, it's important for me to communicate openly and honestly what the definition of a proclamation is, what the definition of a mandate is and to ensure that we're getting out what really that information is. The mask mandate is not a law. Businesses cannot enforce people to wear masks, and that there's a lot of confusion and frustration with that. We can promote being healthy and for cleaning and doing all of that as far as in the grocery stores, but clear communication is imperative to me, and I know there's a lot of frustration and hurt in our communities. Otherwise, I really believe that Kittitas County does a good job with following laws and orders and whatnot, but I believe that the big question is the mask mandate there. And it is a proclamation, and proclamations unfortunately are not law. And L&I can enforce businesses, and the health department can enforce those businesses, but really we need to be communicating, have clear, concise information being put out to the public. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Martins, you now have 60 seconds to make your closing statement.
Again, I would like to thank the League of Women's Voters on the Daily Record for their efforts in producing this forum. I have always thought that citizens should have a responsibility to hold our government accountable. I still feel this way and expect you to hold me accountable if you should elect me. An election is the only time that citizens can weigh in on how their government is performing. It is that time within an election that we have to look at our leadership and make certain that they're comfortable. The election is the only time that direction, vision, and leadership can be analyzed for its performance. If, like me, you are concerned about that present leadership and how it's being handled at our county commissioners level, then I offer my services. I have the background, experience, and level-headed leadership, qualities that will be necessary to find solutions to these questions. Be sure to visit my website, jerrymartins.org, and you can see further into my priorities and directions on what I think are necessary for this county.
Thank you, Mr. Martins. Thank you, Mr. Martins, for joining us and sharing your views with the voters of Kittitas County. Ms. Oshadish, you now have 60 seconds to make your closing statement.
I'd like to remind everyone that my name is Laura Oshadis, and I am running for re-election as Kittitas County Commissioner for District Number 2. I have both the experience as well as the relationships to get the job done. It is no coincidence that I have received over 140 endorsements, not only from our neighbors and friends, but also from elected officials in Kittitas County and across the state of Washington. That is why I spearheaded the movement which initiated the conversation with commissioners from across the state to address the governor's office in regards to COVID-19. The result of this movement was a strongly worded message to the state, which explained the need to bring back local control to our local government. This was signed on by 19 of our 39 counties. If you want a commissioner with a proven track record, has the ability to build bridges, and can get the job done, I'm asking for your vote in this upcoming election as Kittitas County Commissioner for District Number 2.
Thank you. Ms. Carricker, you now have 60 seconds to make your closing remarks.
Thank you. I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Daily Record again for hosting this event. It's been wonderful to get an opportunity to sit and chat. My name is Jessica Carricker, and I'm running for Kittitas County Commissioner District 2. You can visit my website at www.kittitascommissioner.com to read about my endorsements that are listed there or see my social media pages. Our county needs elected officials who understand that they are elected to be the voice of their constituents, those that are capable of holding all departments to the highest standards, who will ensure transparency and will never overlook any kind of disengagement with the community by any county employee, especially when tough questions are being asked. We need the strength of real leadership during unprecedented times. Elected officials that are willing to stand up for our constitutionally protected rights and understand that their powers are inherent of the people who voted them into office. My name is Jessica Carricker, and I'm running for Kittitas County Commissioner District 2, and I am for the people. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for coming and sharing your views with the voters of Kittitas County. As we conclude, I want to remind everyone that our ballots should be here July 17th. And we have till 8 p.m. on August 4th to return them. If you're not registered or need to change your address, you have till the 27th to do so online or by mail. After July 27th, you can register, update your registration, and vote in person through 8 p.m. on August 4th at the county auditor's office. And if you don't get your ballot, be sure to call the county's auditor or go and visit. To get more information of all the candidates running in the 2020 primary, the Kittitas League has created a nonpartisan online voters guide. You'll find links to candidate websites and other helpful resources there. You can also get information at vote411.org and at the Washington Secretary of State's office. I'd like to thank all of the candidates who made time to participate in our event. The Kittitas County League wants to thank the Daily Record newspaper for co-sponsoring the virtual 2020 primary forums, and to Ellensburg Community Television, Spectrum Network, and Inland Networks for showing the forum videos throughout the county. Finally, thank you to the many League volunteers who made these events possible. Your vote matters. Please join me by casting your ballot in the August 4th primary. Thank you.